Health and then Board of Elections. Save the best for last.
I forget my speech.
I feel sorry for everybody, so you can just have it.
That's what we should do. Have them all sit here and the worst one. By then, you know what, just cut it. Just cut it all.
Want more?
I was hoping to go last, then you guys will all be worn out. If you look at if you look at the county executive budget and you look at our prior year's budget, there's really no difference between agency personnel. We had another senior planner GIS person mid-year this year because there were some needs there. Other than that, if you look, the only difference you see is there's a professional service one for $40,000. That's in relation to the update of the county ag farmland protection plan. The state, $35,000, I think, or 30 or $35,000 the state paid for that. So you guys committed to that this past, actually 2014 in relation to that. So we did receive that grant. We're in the process right now of reviewing the RFPs and making a decision which the ag farmland protection board will do tomorrow night. Mine's a pretty simple budget. It's a one-page budget, so I'd rather, if there's questions, there's a lot of details in my budget, but if there's questions on each one of these, I'd gladly explain them.
Ken, again, the same question I asked the sheriff. Coming up to the end of the third quarter, how do you look between now and the end of the fourth quarter?
Oh, we'll be fine. We're within budget. We'll have all of our revenues. If you look at the revenues for 2189, that's part IDA and then part offset of the revolving loan fund administration that we do out of our office. So we hit that. We hit that every year. The transportation and mass transportation ones, those are the large ones in revenue. Those are just a wash that comes in and it goes out to ground, which is pass-through dollars. And then you'll see the if you look down to other economic assistance and opportunity. There's one down there with regards to the snowmobile dollars. That's another pass-through comes in and out every single year. We've been doing it for the past 10 years. I do not budget that, just so you guys know. I do not budget that in this budget. I come to you usually in March or April because by that time we know what the dollar amount is going to be, so I don't estimate that dollar amount anymore because it does vary quite a bit, and that's all based on snowmobile registrations. So that's why I do not budget for that. I come to you because it's a pass-through. Yeah. So I'd rather not overestimate that and overtax when we don't need to. But other than that, you see everything. Pretty much my budget's personnel. A lot of the stuff we do, it's offset by the IDA with regards to what we do for marketing and everything. The IDA pays for the economic development marketing, so it's nice to have that there to help with a lot of our stuff.
The economic opportunity development specialist. It would just be a small difference. Did you find someone to fill that position?
I put a request to fill vacancy in, and it was signed by the personnel officer on August 24th, and I just got an email tonight from Katie, and they posted it yesterday, and it'll be up on digital media stuff tomorrow.
So assuming that all goes through, would that start at the 38,627?
No, whatever the base was on that legislative bill, and I would have to look to see what the base was. The 41,534, that was based upon the individual that was in there at the time that would obviously have a bucket coming to that individual. So, but that goes back to whatever that base is.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking what the original was. Okay.
Yeah. If that's what it is for the contract.
Thank you. Okay.
Ryan.
With the transportation revenues, there's the one coming at 215, 250, and federal section 18B is 215, 250. The other one's coming in at 189, and the other revenue or expenditure line is 180. Is that Is that correct, or did that get transposed wrong, or?
You might have gotten transposed wrong.
Should they be the same numbers?
It is a wash, so I'll have the county treasurer look at
Okay.
that, just make sure that washes out. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else? Joe?
I've been tossing around the idea of taking our tourism line in-house. What's your county on that?
I would be remiss if I didn't have, I've been approached by a couple of legislators in relation to that. Obviously, we did do it for 3 years. Before it was transferred over to the chamber last year. I told a couple legislators I talked to that we could do it with in-house staff with the same staff level. Obviously, you guys gave us additional staff, which helped tremendously. And we have some staff in there now with slightly different skill sets that, could undertake
A
that.
question, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to. Do you feel it would economically benefit our county?
I could say that the same,
I don't want to put you on the
No,
spot.
that's fine. I knew some of these questions would probably come. I did get the chamber's budget for this year. And it was laid out exactly what has taken place up there in 2015. We were doing, we did it for 3 years. We're doing the same exact stuff that the chamber has been doing. I'm confident we can.
You have a person that first, I guess, needs a little additional money to take over that?
No, it would be
You
done.
don't need
It would be done. No, it would be done with this. It would be done with the same staff, same salaries.
That's something we need to discuss then. Thank you. I know it's a touchy issue for you, so, okay.
Two things, we do pay significant administrative fee into the chamber.
Yeah, you do. If you guys look at it's in my budget. If you look at the 4579, the appropriation, that's $110,000 that goes to the chamber. $55,000 of that is used to leverage the I Love New York dollars, which is a 1-for-1 match. So it's $110,000. Basically, it's a $110,000 I Love New York program that they're administering.
And we wouldn't lose that, right? We would get that?
No, we would lose that. If you guys wanted to budget for that, we would retain that, and then they receive from the county $55,000 for the administration of that program.
So on its face, we come out ahead $55,000 right out of the box.
Correct.
I know, it's hard for you to put you on the spot there.
No, that's fine.
I don't know.
Understood.
All right.
Would you give us some guidance on, with the budget, do we need to make any changes if we are gonna go that route now, or?
Basically,
One-
one line item you notice that's missing from my budget, for
The bed.
proposed county executive budget, was that the bed tax contribution. That's the money we receive, that's the revenue we receive through bed tax each year. That wasn't in my budget.
Right.
I had requested the way the structure that it is right now, that money, that line item transfer over to the county exec's budget. For the reason is that we, as my office, isn't spending dollars out of that, but because it's in my budget, I have to sign off on invoices and vouchers and everything. So if the structure remained the same, because those dollars are being, leveraged from the county exec's office to have them in full control of it, that way, it's kind of inefficient for them to send stuff over to me, I sign off, and then, and it's stuff that they're acquiring.
So if I propose to put that back in your budget, you would be okay with that?
I would be okay with it, but you want to talk to the county exec because they're utilizing that right now. I'm not utilizing it.
Is that for the branding?
That's for all the branding stuff that they've acquired and, the letterhead and all that other stuff that's being
And
utilized.
do you know where that's headed? Is that over now?
The branding is, yes, the branding itself is over, but I got a printout in regards to that $55,000.
T-shirts are in. I just want to know if there's more coming.
Well, I can tell you, as of today's date, in relation to the bed tax, there's $19,359 have been spent from that bed tax line item. That consisted of one was a chamber ad, others was pencils, decals, totes, pins, backpacks, letterhead, banners, etc. And then the other one that's encumbered right now is Finger Lakes Technology Web Design. They're the ones that help with the redesign of the county website. We have a separate website, Economic Development. So basically, there's $32,834 Also out of that, just to let you guys know, there's the local tourism grant program. That comes from that $55,000 too. And then we awarded,
12,000.
we awarded $12,000, and then there was a new one that we received in August for $43,500. So the balance as of right now is about $22,000.
Yeah, I really asked the question in an inappropriate way. What I really was trying to get at is, are we further obligated with respect to?
To the branding?
Yeah.
Oh, no, our contract with North Star is complete, and everything has been paid for by North Star.
Thank you.
Sure.
Oh, sorry, right.
Ken, I said, but I mean, there seems to be a consensus among the legislature that we want to take the tourism back, and I don't have a problem with it. My issue is that it seems to, you know, I don't know, seems to be involved, very involved. Like if you look at the things that they did for us, the event emails, social media, the snowmobile trail map, the county brochure, the Revolutionary War Conference, outreach, the Empire State Tourism, monitoring or updating the website, the travel guide, and handing out brochures at the New York State Fair. I'm not sure how effective that is. And I think the legislators have other areas that they want to pursue. And my concern is that without hiring somebody, it's going to take away from economic development, which I feel should be our #1 priority. I mean, I like that you're overseeing it. I just, the person or persons or the group that you're going to have taking care of this, to me, seems to be a real lot of work, having done some of this stuff. The other part is we pay, I Love New York, 55 G's a year. And I talked to our tourism person where I work, and they told me that they're very specific on things that they can do. In other words, they need a lot of lead time. It has to meet a certain criteria for it to go through I Love New York. And so I guess my question is two-stage. Or I guess my opinion is I wouldn't want to take away from economic development, and do we want to consider not doing I Love New York because there are different initiatives here that were preliminary discussed?
Both good questions. I can tell you that I'm not concerned about taking over tourism. We did it with less staff before, and we were doing the same stuff that I'm seeing from the printout that we got. Then the stuff we didn't do, the travel guide, I mean, the snowmobile maps, we update them every 2 years. We did it, you know, I believe twice when we were doing it. So some of that stuff is cyclical along with the Harvest Tour map. As far as the travel guide and everything, we didn't get to the travel guide yet. The simple reason for that is we were waiting for the branding initiative to get done. So we knew what direction we wanted to go, and then the travel guide would be developed. So if we had it in-house, that travel guide would have been completed this year, obviously. And that's working in conjunction with a marketing group such as, you know, ABC or one in Saratoga or something like that. So, you know, a lot of the work is being done, you know, by the group that you hired to develop that brochure with you. As far as the I Love New York monies, absolutely. And actually, the first year we took it, we did not. The first year was 2011, and we brought it in-house from the chamber. I will tell you that we did not participate in the I Love New York program because of some of that. We thought some of that money could be funneled in a better way for the county, to benefit the county, because there are some restrictions on that. So going forward, in all honesty, I'd probably take a look at maybe not leveraging, you know, you're going to allocate $55,000 for it. I probably wouldn't want to allocate the full $55,000 because there are events, as we do know, that came up with like the Fonda Fair and the the Sunday on the Farm Country Music Fest. And you'd want to have those types because that was the biggest event we had in the county. Sure. And, you know, the way I Love New York was set up, could we have promoted it? If we were outside of our region in the Capital District region, yeah, we could have promoted it and I Love New York qualified. So there is some leeway in there, but I understand your concern, and potentially we could come back and recommend that not all of those dollars go to I Love New York. So you do have some discretionary funding to do other important stuff that you may not be eligible for I Love New York.
So I Love New York is not all our like, oh, it's now all 55 where?
No, because I would tell you, the 1 year we did an I Live in New York program was $60,000. I mean, you have a $55,000, what we found, and this is no, no insult to the previous chamber, which was that to be the Montgomery County Chamber at the time, but, what we found is that you got an I Live in New York budget. The county gave you $55,000 or whatever it was at the time, and they felt obligated to spend the full $55,000. When we took it in-house, we didn't look at it that way. We still looked at it as that taxpayers' dollars and what's the best utilization for the best events. That's gonna help the county. Just because that money's budgeted, we don't want to spend it. So that's how we approach it before. And that's, being honest with you, that's probably how we would approach it again, start getting in-house.
Right?
I would agree with what Roy's thoughts on I Love New York, and I'm kind of torn on whether to bring it in-house or not. I think there's definitely benefits to having it contracted out, maybe to a different person and with a different mentality of the I love money. But I guess my question to you would be, obviously with a stronger GIS presence and somebody that at least half of their time is supposed to be going towards GIS operations, we can take on a lot of mapping and sort of that aspect of tourism promotion. But I think one big thing, even if I may, Lord, with something like this, the most catchy thing is the graphic design of it, and how I don't think I've seen an item like this come from in-house, our in-house graphic design. What do you think? If we were to bring it in-house, could we go out and contract out at least some of the graphic design? And do you think that would, be something that would be worth looking at?
That's what they're doing. That's not done in-house. All that graphic design and putting that together, that's done by a professional firm that does that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not done in-house. Nor would I recommend that to be done in-house.
Okay.
They would be working obviously in conjunction as they're doing with the chamber now on getting the leads, set up the company visits to leverage the advertisements, to leverage the copy and everything that's going to go in there. But that gets taken to a professional firm and a print firm that actually
There's only
piece together and prints it out. Yeah,
so much you can do with paint and Office 98.
Right. Yeah. So that's not being done.
Yeah. Okay.
Barb, do you have something, or?
I do.
Yeah.
I think that the team that you have can really do something with this. I think in the beginning, you might not have been able to do what you can now. And I would be in support of breaking up the 55,000, because being able to utilize even 20 of that, you can do wonders with. I was here when you bring it in-house, and you did amazing things. Even with Mayfest, it was less than $1,000, and that was a wonderful, wonderful thing for all of Montgomery County. So I would definitely be in support of that. I think that the entire team that you have right now, I'm in support of. I know that sometimes it doesn't happen overnight, so it's gonna be, you're gonna grow with what the chamber has done. And I think that we're gonna be able to see a lot in this next year. So,
Thank you,
that's
Barbara.
it.
Wow.
And under professional services, in 2014 was 21,000. There was nothing in 2015 budget, now it's $40,000. Can you give us some?
Yeah, it depends on the 21,000. It was probably, I'm trying to think. Legislative to tell what that was. It was probably a contract we had for some cleanup or something like that at the county level. That 40,000 of professional services, that's in relation to the ag farmland protection plan. That's going to be the update for that. We went out to RFPs at the county level. I think we received 2 or 3. The ag farmland protection board is reviewing that tomorrow. So that's where that money will come from. That will cover the cost of that, which is $40,000. Then we'll be reimbursed from the state by like 30 or 35 of that. But we have to pay that out and be reimbursed by the state. So that's
It's almost a pass-through.
It's almost a pass-through by 10 or 20%.
Thanks for explaining.
Anything else? Okay. Sounds good. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Public health.
Hello.
Hi.
We made you wait to the end almost.
I know why, too.
Why is that?
To wake you up. Not much new in the public health budget this year. As you can see, I believe in the handouts that you received, you can see that basically the core public health programs are only 1% of my budget. Sad, yes. County cost for the core public health programs is $14,971. The early intervention program is about 5% of our budget, and of course, the largest program that public health has in our budget is the 3 to 5 program, which is 85% of our budget. I want to say that in the past year, 2014, our communicable disease investigations have increased by 40 cases. I'm not sure if everybody's aware what public health does, but if you have a communicable disease and you go to your doctors and he says, oh geez, I think you might have Giardia, let's run a lab test here. And he runs a lab test and that test comes back positive, public health gets that lab report. You get a lab report, you get all the positive lab reports for residents of our county of communicable diseases. And then we take those diseases and we have to investigate them. And we have to call the individual up after we find out from the physician that you're aware you have Giardia, and we call and we do a communicable disease investigation. It's quite lengthy. A lot of the diseases have 15-page questionnaires to ask of, where did you eat, where'd you drink your water? You drinking well water, you on municipal water, all kinds of things. It's a lot of fun. We like what we do. We do. But they've increased by 40 cases, and that is very time consuming. It's not, always simple. Here's the lab, here's the individual. You're playing phone tag with physicians, where you're playing phone tags with individuals. They have jobs, you have to do this work. So, but like I said, we enjoy it. As far as the 3 to 5 program, our biggest program, the elephant in the room of money for our budget, we've had an increase from 2013, the 12-13 school year, to the 13-14 school year. We had an increase of 25 children that needed individual IEPs, individual education plans. So those are children that needed special services. And that's what is so costly. So sometimes the children need services and we can give them those services and it's appropriate for the child to stay in their home, and the provider, the physical therapist, will go in the home and give the services to the children. Other times the children's services are quite lengthy in depth and they need a lot of services, so they'll go to center. And when they go to center, it costs more, a lot more. Center-based service for one child, and I've written our governor over this, and it was nice because they actually started auditing the providers of center-based services and they found some fraud. But anyways, the services, the tuition services can cost, by the time you're transporting a child to center and back, you can be spending $45,000 for one child. It's more than college for one child, but the child needs those services. So the one thing that I did have different in my budget this year was for a part-time person to work in that 3 to 5 program to try and make sure that appropriate services are given to the children. It's not that we want to take services away when they need them, because we want to give them the services they need. They have a right to that through IDA. What we want, though, is to make sure those services are appropriate when they're being reviewed at a CPSE meeting. That's a preschool special education meeting that the schools hold, because these children are 3 to 5 years of age, and this whole program is a state ed program, and it's under state ed. and the county's responsible for this program. It's a mandated program, and the county's responsible for paying the bill. That's what the county's responsible for. So I'd like to have a part-time person to help out because this program's growing. It's growing. We've gained 25 children in that one school year. And I believe a lot of the increase is from the new universal pre-K, where the children are now going to universal pre-K, and so they're being identified as having needs, where before they weren't, being identified by professionals that see that they have a need. Now I'll go back to my budget, to my actual budget that I submitted. The actual budget I submitted that you can see, we can go over. There's only a couple lines that changed from what we submitted and what the county exec had passed on to the legislature. So I'd like to answer all of them. As you can see on page 23, there's $19,607 that we budgeted for, and it's not there. That's the part-time position we wanted. Okay. That part-time position, I'd like to point out though, even though the $19,607 is not there, that's not the actual cost to the county because there's revenue associated, and that adjustment wasn't made, okay? So the actual cost for that position is estimated to be $6,266. $6,266. So I'm asking for $6,266 for this part-time position.
Okay.
Okay? And I'm asking for it because I think it's going to save the county money. Not because I just want a part-time person. I really, this is a business decision. This has to do with making sure that there is someone present representing the county at the CPSE meetings. As I said, there was 122 of those meetings that I'm aware of for 2015, or 14. There are a lot of meetings. And we want to make sure that somebody's there representing us so that when the services are being decided for the children, that they're appropriate services. We have knowledgeable staff that attend these meetings, and they speak up and just say, let it go on record that, PT twice a week, and if the child needs more, then we can certainly increase it. Let's start them and see whether they need more or not down the road. Least restricted environment they'll ask for, which is services in the home versus sending a 3-year-old to center on a bus all day. That, you want to have the child be in the least restricted environment receiving their services that they need. Their natural environment, so to speak. So that position, based after all the revenue is that we can generate, because there's various sources of revenue, Medicaid for early intervention, and a state aid for preschool. There's various amounts of income that would contribute to the salary of that individual, so that it brings the cost down to $6,266. That was my biggest deal, but I know.
When you made your original request, did you show those revenues too?
Yes. We've always had this sheet, which is a line-by-line item. Our budget is, we got an awesome business manager. Oops, excuse me.
I've been through this.
And our budget, if you can get so much for this position out of this funding, this grant, or this state aid, we do. Our individuals in our office record their time for every 15-minute increments that they do in order to recoup this income, and everything's lined up.
If I can ask, one of the concerns that have come up is hours. So I would be very much for this position, which I'm going to be not for adding other positions, but due to what this is and due to the low cost of it, I would be. Do you think that there would be, it would cover the hours, you wouldn't be coming back and saying, well, 'cause do you know what I mean, Kim? Sometimes you're limited with a certain amount of hours that the person can cover.
No. I realize a part-time person only can work so many hours, and that's the amount of hours that they would work. And they would not exceed those hours. We manage them I think we do a great job with public health, sorry.
No, you do an excellent job, and that's why
It makes sense to put this position in for the $6,000 when I just explained, one child could cost up to $45,000 with transportation and center. If you're just making sure that one child has appropriate services that potentially was going to get more services than they actually needed, was maybe going to center when itinerant really would work better for the child, you've already paid for the position, and that could be one meeting. Yes.
Two questions, same question I asked the two previous directors. You're at the end of the third quarter now. How do you look for the rest of the year?
I was going to get to that at the end.
Okay. Then you can save that.
But no, I'll tell you, so we don't forget. Really, our budget is tight this year, and I've already talked to our business manager, and I'm like, okay, where do you think we are? You know, are we going to be all right? Because the 3 to 5 program is a really hard program to budget for, because you have no idea how many children you're going to come across that have needs. And so, you know, it's been going up, you can pretty much predict that, but how much it goes up, you can't. So this year, she and I are hoping that there's enough money in our budget to cover the costs, and that we're probably more than likely 99.9% going to have to move money within our budget into that line to pay tuition this year. We may have to come back and ask for a little pay for tuition, but we're hoping not. We're hoping not. It's a fine line to say, oh yeah, we're probably going to be here. We're keeping our fingers crossed that there's enough money left over in our budget to transfer over and pay the tuition. So we're really tight. You know, our budget one time, a couple years back, we were over $500,000 we had for the fund balance. Yay. A year ago, it was $300,000. We've been trying to bring that to a tight spot, and it didn't get us very far, because look what happened to us this year. They took $200,000 of our budget for tuition. So we should have stayed out there, you know, and then if we went there, we'd be in a good spot. So we're trying to bring it in. Everybody else is trying to bring it in, and then you kind of go the other way. It's a pendulum, you know that. You know, you're either over budget or you're under budget, and boy, it's a great year when you're right on the budget. And this year, we might be right on the budget if we come up with all our money spent, but not necessarily in the line it started off in. So I wanted to move on to the
I
next.
had another question.
Yes, with the 3 to 5 or?
And the whole program.
Okay.
And the budget. And it looks like you originally asked for $430,000 increase over last year. And the executive brought that down to $260,000 that they felt appropriate. My question is not so much the difference or anything like that. If we had to look at reimbursement, you know, or is any of...
Where are you looking, sir?
I'm looking at the page 27,
The bottom line?
bottom line.
And what about it?
Your budget was $3,482,000. The executives was $3,261,000.
It's $200 million, it's $200,000 difference, and the bulk of it is in that tuition line.
So what I'm asking is that reimbursable? Is any of it reimbursable?
Yeah, and they made the adjustments. They did. There's one line in revenue, you can see where they made the adjustment, 59.5%. So the revenue was taken out for that when they took out the tuition line for that appropriate adjustment was made.
The rate is 59.5.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to continue on a little bit through the budget for the lines that are a little different than what we budgeted for and the adjustment that the county exec made. I believe the next one was a line of computers. I got a little thrown off here. I think it was a computer line. Yes, page 23. We had put in $6,800 because we wanted to buy a new copier. We have 2 copiers. Maintenance agreements are up on them because the company can no longer provide the parts for them because they're that old. So we wanted to buy a new copier, and public health, that's what we do, even though it's Go Green. We have Go Green meetings, but public health, we have to disseminate information. That's one of the 10 essential services that public health does, is take the information and disseminate it, and not everybody is electronic. We disseminate electronically all that we can, and then we have to have paper copies. We make a lot of copies. I'm not worried about that. I'm fine with this. We can probably stretch another year out, so I'm good. I'm not asking for that back.
I believe IT is handling that now, so we might want to talk to them.
Well, yes, but I am like social services, where if we buy it, we can be reimbursed. I think it would be great if IT developed a way to bill the other departments, because that's another way to seek reimbursement, okay?
Yeah, that's,
Then we wouldn't have to buy them individually.
okay.
As long as they can bill us, we can do it that way too. Otherwise,
Okay.
we have to buy it.
Okay, okay.
On page 24, you'll notice the county exec added $5,000, and I was so grateful for that. That's for our community health improvement plan. We already have a community health assessment plan and a community health improvement plan, but after we prepared the budget and submitted it to the county exec, New York State Department of Health sent out an email saying, you know what, you weren't supposed to have to redo your community health improvement plan until 2017, but we want you to line up with when the hospitals do their community health service plan. So we want you guys to do it jointly at the same year. So now they're having public health departments do them a year earlier. And so we usually contract out. Last time we did it, Bassett Research Institute prepared our community health assessment and community health improvement plan. We still have to bring the community together, have partnership meetings, discuss it, to do the assessment, gather information, and assist them, but they draft the whole report up for us. And so that's what the $5,000 is. It's usually $10,000. We only have to do a chip, I believe, this year, and so we're hoping 5,000 will be enough. Plus, the FIP is supposed to help local health departments, and the FIP is the public health improvement partnership that we have at a regional level.
That's not showing up on professional services.
Yes, that's the extra 5,000 the county exec put under professional services. Then if we move along, I think we're moved smoothly until we get to the tuition line, which we already talked a lot about. The county exec has lowered it $200,000 from what we put in. He's put $200,000 in, lower. Like I said, we can talk numbers here too. We were in 14, 2.6 bottom line, because the biggest change is always this tuition line for us. That's where the change is. In 2014, we were 2.6 million. And then in 2015, we went up to 3 million. That was a $400,000 increase. That $400,000 increase was the salary increases that everybody got across the board in our department, you know, that we all got those raises. We also reinstated one of our positions that's not in the 14 budget. It is in prior years. It was our health educator. We brought that position back in. And the 3 to 5 program, the biggest bulk of that extra $400,000 that we spent. Then in 2016, as you can see, we projected that we needed $400,000 more. We thought, okay, 1 year it went up for $400,000, because the bulk of it is the 3 to 5 program, the tuition line, that it was going to go up again. And the county exec brought it down $200,000. I don't can't tell you where it's gonna be. Like I said, it's a projection, it's based on enrollment. Enrollment fluctuates. It's based on the need of the children. I can tell you, if you have an autistic child, that child is gonna have great needs. That child is gonna more than likely have, you can just need center-based services and transportation, but more than likely may need itinerant services at home too. So it's like both, you know. You do, autism's up. There, autistic children, 1 out of 66 children born in the nation, I believe, is projected to be autistic, born. So you never know what that tuition's gonna be. If you're gonna leave it at this rate, this $200,000 lower, then I beg that you give me the part-time position so that I can try to bring it at that lower rate. Because I'm gonna need that person to help out, to make sure that we cover every one of the CPSE meetings, and that we're not, you know, we're up for it. We're up for the meeting. We know our stuff. We know what the child's needs are. We can speak knowledgeably about the needs of the child and what would be appropriate services. And that's all I have to say. Do you have any questions?
No, I think you covered everything pretty well. You did good.
Did you wake up? Yeah.
You
Thank
did
you.
good. So
Thank you.
thank you for your time. Thank you for coming here. Okay, last but not least,